Hey everybody, welcome back to Facts and Foolishness. This is your favorite Auntie Joy. I'm here with your Uncle Kev, and today we're going to be talking about successful re-entry into society after incarceration. Today we have some wonderful people here to talk to you. We're going to be joined by two people currently working with reacclimating the formerly incarcerated into society, and a former principal in one of the in part of the prison system in Westchester. So we have with us Randy Kearse, Dr. Michelle Darby, and Dr. Hamim Shabazz.
And my first question is to the doctor, and that is...
Do we have everybody on? My computer's going a little bit slow.
I'm on.
I believe everybody's on the on screen, Joy.
Okay.
You mentioned there was you gave four prongs of an effective strategy for re-entry, and I was trying to write that down as you were saying them. You say education, social. Can you repeat those for us?
Oh, the four tenets of a whole person. It's education, social, emotional, and mental health, the physical well-being, and I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Physical and mental well-being, stable housing, gainful employment as well. And it's loosely tied to what Dr. Shabazz was saying, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which states that all organisms need three things in order to survive. But in cases of organisms who are actually human and who have been incarcerated in the prisons, in prison, or most people, the mental health is a piece that Maslow did not include. Mental health and social emotional well-being. That's essentially ensuring that your mind is in the right place for growth and success. Making sure that you were settled, that our formerly incarcerated have dealt with the impact of what got them to the jail, what happened in the jail, and what would help them after the jail. And Mr. Kearse and Dr. Shabazz could speak more to that, to the mental well-being or the mental stress that happens while incarcerated. I saw it from the outside. I didn't live it, but mental health was a big problem, a big issue amongst my students. Mental health and or ensuing drug addiction, which sometimes they turn to deal with their mental health.
Okay, well, I'm gonna follow up and ask both Randy and Hamim, and I asked Randy to respond first, and I asked Hamim to give me a response, because they kind of touched upon the last two, but I'm interested to know whether or not did the prison itself provide you with a support system to address the mental health issues that come along with being incarcerated?
I mean, I know where I was at in the federal system. The only thing they had for mental health was medication. They medicated people. That was their answer to mental health. When you act out, or you had issues, emotional issues, or different things that needed to be addressed, the only thing that they wanted to do was just to medicate you to keep you in line. There was no counseling. There was no programming. There was no anything along that lines that would actually address the issues of mental health. And see, what happens, what I tell a lot of people, I was locked up before I was locked up. I was locked up mentally before I got locked up physically. And the reason why I say that, because my way of thinking before I got locked up got me locked up. And that way of thinking is crazy within itself. When you know that what you're doing can lead to a life sentence or put you in the graveyard, but you're still willing to take that risk. You're still willing to take that chance. You're still trying to justify those actions. It's a mental health issue. But we don't want to look at it like that, because, from being in the hood and the streets or whatever, we always supposed to have it together. But a lot of us are walking around mentally ill before we even got to prison. And mentally ill from the things we've seen in our homes, the things we've seen in our community, the the miseducation within I mean, it's deep, man. You know what I'm saying? It's deep. So sometimes, and I hate to say this, but sometimes prison can be one of the best things that happens to a person in order for them to get themselves together, man, because you in the matrix out here, and you get caught up in the matrix, and you start thinking wrong is right. You really.
I understand exactly. This is not the first time I heard that, man.
Listen, man, you really start thinking, and you start coming up with all of this. You know, I got to eat, and I got to feed my family, and I got to do this, and the streets is all I know. And I used to tell the guys this, but they ain't saying like me in prison, because once I started getting my mind right, I started challenging that way of thinking, and I said, look. If the streets is all you know, and it leads you to a place like this, don't you think it's time to learn something different, man? Don't you think it's time for a new approach to life? Because you don't like it here. You complain about being here every minute of the day, in and day out, and then all that. You're miserable, but yet still you're gonna tell me this is all you know? So you're gonna go back out there and try it again? That's mental health, man. That's a mental health issue.
Dr. Shabazz, can you follow up on that for me?
Sure. Like our brother Randy just indicated, when I was in prison from 1990 to 2004, there was no mental health assistance at that time. What we would do is we would form our own group. I just told y'all earlier that I actually began a long-term offender group. Because for us long-term offenders, we were really the ones who suffer from mental health the most. And the reason why is because if you're a long-term offender, chances are you're in a maximum security prison. And things go in a maximum security prison, they don't go on in minimum security prisons. Before I left prison, I was in a minimum security, but it was actually what they call a level 2A custody, which still had 2 fences around it, but everybody had 5 years or less when they was about to go home. So not a lot went on there. Everybody was on their P's and Q's, and most people there didn't have any more than 3, 4, 5 years to even do. So therefore they have a chance to get their feet wet. But in maximum security prisons, you see it all. And sometimes you have to do it all. I'm not a violent individual, but in prison I got stabbed here, 3 times in my back. I also had to do some things to protect myself back there as well. However, and all these things bring about mental health issues. And the thing is that we begin to normalize the abnormal. We don't understand. Yeah, we don't understand these stressors. These stressors drive us into mental health. However, the good thing about it is that things that go on in prison, like for instance, even right now, I've been home 19 years. December the 13th be 20 years I've been home. There's still certain things that went on that prison. When I see it out here, it triggers the episodic memory, and I'm like, do that. I still don't. When I go to restaurants, I still don't sit with my back to the door. I mean, those kind of things. It took me a very long time to stop locking the door when I'm taking a shower because I don't have a knife hanging around my neck. Those kind of things. Those are the things that we will work on. And now that we're out here on this side of the bricks, we call prison the bricks. Now we're on this side of the bricks. My individuals that come through Project Niles Community Development Corporation, these are things that we work on right now. The things that you saw, murders, stabbings, rapes, just whatever. They have a thing they call hound dog, and a basic that's the mental health. Hound dog is what it is, a Thorazine. And when you go through a psychotic break in prison, they shoot you up with the hound dog, and you looking at the sky all day long, that kind of thing, and that's how they control mental health in prison. So I know there was no mental health help back there in prison. Now, let me say one more thing. I think for the most part, unless a person had a diagnosis before they went to prison, or unless they obtained a diagnosis while in prison, I think the issue is more behavioral health than mental health. And that's what we deal with our whole person approach: psychological, biological, social, cultural, financial, and spiritual self, because those are the only aspect that every human being is made up of. We're called a reentry program, but I don't like to consider ourselves a reentry program. We're a resocialization program, and that's what people need when they come out of prisons. A lot of times we think that person need to come out of prison, we get them a job, they're good to go, those kind of things. But anytime you're in a group of individuals, and we do it all the time, we say, hey, how many of you all have had one job in your life? They raise their hand. How many of y'all has had two jobs, but not your life, coming out of prison? They all raise. We go to 5. They all raise their hand. The problem isn't individuals coming home and being able to make some money with a job. The problem is, why are you not keeping these jobs? What's going on in your life? Yeah, what's going on in your life why you can't keep these jobs? It's always someone else's fault why you can't keep these jobs. So basically, with our life skills masterclass, we deal with those elements of the human being, and that way they can go into jobs, they can keep those jobs, they can reconnect with their family members, they can come back into society, they can hold a conversation, those kind of things.
Okay, let me piggyback on that if I can, and ask, how long, your programs, are you offering like lifetime services to the people who come out? Because it sounds, we both, you, myself, and Randy, I haven't been, of course, in the system, but I've represented so many people in and out of the system. And that is a lifetime thing, is it not? Once you get out, dealing with the mental health issues, behavioral health issues, socioeconomic issues, all of those things. So are you providing support to these people for the rest of their life?
Well, this is what we do. Once an individual go through our Project NOS program, we monitor them. We monitor them every 6 months. That's how we do our check mark for the government to get the money. We monitor them for 6 months. But there is always an open door. Anytime they need me, matter of fact, I've got many phone calls today. Anytime they need Hamid, they call me. Hey, this is happening, this is going on, can we meet, can we talk? So, and we do have individuals who have been with Project NOS since the first 3 months until today. Because as Randy said earlier, a lot of individuals, they just can't hold on to the rope, they fall off, and they go back to prison. But for the ones who are serious, the ones who want to reach out, the ones who want help, these kind of things, we're always here for them. Me and my staff, we're always here for them. I don't care if it's 30 years later. If they need us, we're there. Because guess what? We're a brotherhood. And that's what I tell them. Man, look, just, drop the doctor. I'm Brother Shabazz. You know what I'm saying? I'm Brother Shabazz, man. And we're the same people, man. You know what I'm saying? I tell my students at the college the same thing. I just happen to make it past this class. We all the same. So it's the same thing as relates to my population that come from reentry. And the beautiful thing about it is that a number of individuals through the years, they actually volunteer their time to help other people coming out. Each one teach one. So it works out well. But to answer your question, yes, it could be a lifelong process if the individuals come repeatedly.
And
I experienced the same thing.
Dr. Darby, you were about to say something, Dr. Darby?
Yeah, I found that to be anecdotally, no research on my part, but anecdotally correct. When I had students who would leave the jail, the work that we did in jail, the work that we did with education and academics and socialization and life skills. But when they got outside, if there wasn't a system of support to continue supporting them, it was easy to slide back into the old ways. I always liken it to, let's say, a drug addict who gets out of a program, but they go back to their same neighborhood. They go back to the same friends. They go back to the same home. While that person A, who just came out of the program, was able to change their life and get a new mindset, that memo didn't go to everyone else in the community. So they're still going back into that same situation. So the chances of them going back on drugs is high. It's the same thing for jail. We get our kids, they come inside, we teach them in school, we teach them respect, we teach them dignity. The jail and the commitment has to be there from the jail. And I will say that over and over again. If the commitment is not there from the institution, then nothing will change. There was a commitment at the institution. So while we were there, we saw noticeable change. We saw it in their behavior. We heard it from the corrections officers. We heard it from their therapists. We heard it from their parents. But then they go home. And there was no support from an organization like Dr. Shabaz's. So at the end of the day, where for a couple of weeks, they're thinking, yeah, having a GED will work. Having a GED will work. I'll get a job. I'll make $300-400 a week. Then the friend comes up and says, but you can make a G a day. That's hard to deny. So again, we are back in that cycle again. And a lot of things we were talking about is literally classified as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's been proven that people who live in poverty has as much or more PTSD than people at war. So unless we are working with their mental health and we're working to unravel and unpack all of the things that come with poverty, which is poor healthcare, poor education, we can go on and on. This cycle will continue. We need interrupters and disruptors like people like Dr. Shabazz and Randy Kurz and me as an educator. We need community support to be disruptors and interrupt this cycle. Or it becomes a thing where, like when I was growing up in Brownsville, someone would come out for the summer and back in the winter, back out. It becomes a cycle. So when they came home, it was like, oh, you're coming for a visit. We know where home is because there's no interrupter. There's no pattern disruption. If you don't interrupt the pattern, a pattern will continue. So interrupting a pattern is education, is getting into programs, is getting the spiritual and emotional help that you need, getting the physical help that you need, seeing that there is another side. So commitment from society will help 100%, and not just in words. Because just like my quote, the quote from James Baldwin, we will profit by or pay for what they become. If we don't make that commitment, we'll pay for it. If we make the commitment, we can absolutely profit by all of the brilliant minds that are incarcerated.
Also, right quick, I just want to clarify something right quick. When I say spirituality, I'm not talking about a religion. I'm talking about those good things you do in your life that make your soul feel good. Those intrinsic rewards.
That's beautiful. I knew what you were talking about, but I'm glad you clarified that for the audience. Well, I think we've heard some good information, Joy. I just want to go around, ask Randy and Hamim, how do people get in contact with them? How do people possibly donate to their organizations, support their organizations? If you guys can do that for us, I would really appreciate it as we wrap this conversation up.
If they want to get in contact with me, anybody can reach me at reentrystrategies@gmail.com. They can go to the website, reentrystrategies.com, did I spell it right? Wait, reentrystrategies.com. I'm actually putting together a program that will actually help family members be better advocates for their incarcerated loved one, to use my program as a tool to strengthen the bond between families and friends, and to help them prepare for that transition back to society. Because what happens is, like the doctor, the educator, I'm sorry, your name, Dr. Michelle?
Yes.
Dr. Michelle, yes. What she was saying is, like, facilities or prison or jail has to be 100% committed to wanting to help individuals get the tools necessary to prepare them for reacclimating back in society. And a lot of prisons and jails ain't put that money there. And let's be honest, because the more people that don't come back, you're gonna put some people out of jobs. So they need some people to come back. You know what I'm saying? So what we're doing, we're trying to take that out of the hands of the gatekeepers. So just like everything in life now, you can bring it straight to the people. We're taking our programs and tailoring them and getting them for the individual's family to work with them hand in hand as their reentry advocate. So that's what we're working on right now. Just to kind of go back to what you were asking about, do we offer lifetime services? Unfortunately, when you come out here after being incarcerated, you're always reentering society. You're always, I don't care if it's 10, 15, 20 years, you're always dealing with that stigma, that challenge, that mindset, because I tell people all the time, it only takes me 2 seconds to make a wrong decision, and everything that I've done, everything I've accomplished is thrown out the window and I'm going back to the penitentiary. I'm only one bad decision away from going back to the penitentiary. So every day, and I've been out for 18 years, I have to keep that in the forefront of my mind of not allowing a second of negative or old behavior or old thinking to creep back into my mindset. One thing what is unique about changing your game plan, we're not a program like Dr. Shabazz. We don't have like a facility. We don't offer services. What we do is we create the materials for organizations like Dr. Shabazz, like Dr. Michelle, to use in their reentry initiatives and reentry programming and stuff like that. And all of our creators and facilitators, as far as creating the material, come from that lived experience. So we know what it is, and we know the challenges, and we know the stigmas, and we know the hurdles that we have to deal with constantly in order to stay out here. So, I mean, 18 years later, I'm still living reentry because, like I said, I'm only one bad decision back from going back to the penitentiary.
And how do people buy your books, Randy?
They can go to Amazon, Randy Kiers. Look me up, Randy Kiers. They can contact me directly. I used to sell my books on the street in New York, hustling them on the train, you know what I'm saying, before the pandemic. I used to be on the street. I used to be all over the place before the pandemic, speaking and doing stuff like that. But now I'm more focused on creating substantive, innovative reentry materials for organizations and agencies to use, because again, a lot of that stuff that they got up in there that's camouflage as reentry is garbage.
I knew that Kiers was gonna come out.
Garbage. Keep it 100. Let's keep it real. Let me tell you something. Let's keep it 100. If the statistics say that 60% of the people that go back to prison within 1-3 years, that's been the statistic for the last 20, 30 years, right? That tells you something ain't working. And the statistics stay the same for the last 20, 30 years. Something ain't working. So you have to do a new approach. You got to do something different. You got to try a new approach, man.
Well, you got to understand when not working is working.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's working. It's just not working for the people who
exactly. I used to go to a lot of these the different trade kind of things that they have for people to come from correctional education, showing their programs. And I'm gonna tell you, most of the times that I go, I'm the only person of color there. Because a lot of these programs are being developed by people who have formerly worked in the system, and they seen that they can, work their good old network and come in there and put a program together and throw it in there, and the facility will buy it and all. It's a whole racket, man.
Well, Dr. Shabazz, before me and Randy take this thing over.
Hey, good stuff.
My bad.
how do people reach you, support you, and buy your books and book you
Right.
as a speaker, sir?
Right. So our website for Project NAS is www.projectnas, that's NAS. It's an acronym for non-statistic.org. Also, also you can book me at www.dare2live.life. So we have two websites for that. Also to order books, you order books off of the .life, the Dare to Live .life. Um, when you go to the website, you'll see the QR code. We have, if you got Venmo, Cash App, whatever you got, PayPal, I don't care. Like you got an old school paper check. Purchase the books. You can also book me that way. Our telephone number is 803-740. Let me look at it right quick. I never called Project NAS nor Dare to Live. Let me look at this thing right quick. The number is 803-740-0811. That's the Project NAS number. You can buy my books off of Amazon Books, me and Barnes and Noble, any online bookstore. However, we do ask that you buy books straight from us, because $10 off of every book that I sell goes towards paying for a South Carolina state pardon for a worthy individual that needs a pardon to basically get their life back together. Let me say this. I'm not disagreeing with Brother Randy or anything like that, but I will say that we teach something a little different. We don't teach people always re-entering into society. I'm so far past my criminal record, I don't even think about that thing anymore unless I'm getting paid to talk about it. You know what I mean? We teach people the same thing the NA teach. You do recover. You do come back. You aren't your scars. You know what I mean? And of course, if you make one wrong choice, if I make one wrong choice, it can end me back up in prison. But guess what, Kevin? You've never been in prison. You make one wrong choice, it can end you up in prison. So
absolutely.
So we don't, and I'm not saying, because I know that the dynamics in New York may be different than dynamics in South Carolina, a different mindset. So I mean so different things are needed. But just what we do is we teach people, man, you heal for your scars, man, you take accountability. It's nobody's responsibility to get you a job. You know what I'm saying? It's nobody's responsibility to give you all these services. It is our responsibility to support you in your journey.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful. And I know what you're saying, and you definitely are an example that I brag about all the time, man.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, we're going to call you Dr. Michelle from now on.
Okay. It works. It works. I can actually be
stuck you with that title.
Oh, I like it. It doesn't bother me as long as my students don't call me Dr. Michelle. I'm old school, last name for students.
Right.
I can be reached on LinkedIn just at Dr. Michelle Darby. Forgot my own name. Dr. Michelle Darby on LinkedIn. I am an educator, but I have my own company, Excellency Coaching and Consulting, and I am available to work with schools, teachers, systems, organizations on the impact of education on recidivism and reentry, or the impact of education on our students from high needs district. That's my expertise field. Been doing it for 20 to 25 years, and it's something that I really love doing. Making sure, like I used to say to my kids at the in the facility, I want to work my way out of a job. I want to make sure that we have no students in jail, so I no longer have to work there. And I tell my kids in school that I want to ensure that when I'm ready to retire, they're able to take my place. So working in the jail system has absolutely taught me and trained me how to be a better educator and advocate for students back in the school systems. And I would love for other educators and administrators to gain that knowledge.
We really appreciate each and every one of you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're going to definitely do our part to share this information. If there's ways that we can help share what you're doing, out there, let us know, because this is stuff that needs to happen all across the country, outside of New York and South Carolina. We need this all across this country because this is affecting our communities everywhere.